What is cryptocurrency for beginners? How do I explain cryptocurrency to my 105-year-old grandma? And most importantly, how do I avoid crypto scams and protect my investment? And these are the questions and more that we're gonna be getting into over the next few minutes, where we dive deep on what exactly is cryptocurrency and how to best take advantage of it for yourself. Let's go. Now, a lot of people get tripped up and think cryptocurrency is some crazy magical thing, but at the end of the day, it's actually not too different from USD or normal US dollars that you see every day in your wallet. Unless you're like me and never actually carry cash. Now, the only difference between physical US dollars and cryptocurrency is instead of having a tangible form as a piece of cloth or a piece of paper, cryptocurrency instead is all zeros and ones. Now, I know blockchain and cryptocurrency can seem very overwhelming, but I promise you, over the next 10 minutes or so, you will feel much more comfortable knowing exactly what cryptocurrency is, and even better yet, how to explain it to your friends or even your 105-year-old grandma. Essentially, what allowed cryptocurrency to become so popular and gain so much momentum and traction over the past few years is something called blockchain. Now, without going super deep into exactly what blockchain is from a technical perspective, I like to instead phrase it in a way that's much more easy to understand. Now, the difference and one of the most important things about blockchain is that there's no actual necessary centralized party to verify the transaction. Now, let me explain exactly how this works. So you're a person that wants to use crypto on your computer. We're gonna call you a node. You have records of those transactions, which we're gonna call a ledger. Now let's assume that there's two additional accountants that also have those transactions that you have on your computer on their computers as well. And we're gonna call them miners. Now let's assume that each time that you make a transaction, your computer automatically emails both of those accountants who actually then have to verify that transaction. Now, how they actually do that is first they check whether or not you can afford that transaction. The first accountant checks and verifies it, and then the second accountant checks and verifies it as well. This means that your transaction is actually decentralized, as there's no single party like a bank actually verifying that transaction. Now, once both accountants actually agree that you can afford it and they actually take record of that transaction with something called proof of work, everyone updates their files on your computer, on both the accountants' computers, and now everybody agrees that a transaction has taken place and they have a record of it. Now, I know that was probably a bit overwhelming, but blockchain is extremely advanced technology that has actually enabled so many really cool things to happen and take place with cryptocurrency. And even though cryptocurrency might seem strange or new to you, it's actually not that different from our regular forms of currency. Every dollar bill has a serial number on it that makes it unique, similar to cryptocurrency. The only difference is, instead of having your name and your bank account, instead with cryptocurrency, you have your wallet and you remain anonymous. Now, there are essentially two different types of cryptocurrency. Without getting super deep into all the technicalities, the first is called a coin, which is much more difficult to create. Examples of this include things that I'm sure you've heard of, like Bitcoin. There's a second type of cryptocurrency called tokens. Now, tokens are much easier to actually make, which means that there's much more actual scams and crazy things that are going on, which we're gonna get into later on in the video, how to protect yourself from scams and how to invest into cryptocurrency the right way. But it's important to understand that not all tokens are scams, and certainly not all tokens are intended to be scams. The most common scam is something called a rug pull, where essentially people who are dishonest create tokens, they create a lot of hype around those tokens, they pump the price way up of those tokens, and then the creators sell all or most of their actual ownership at the peak, and then they cash out, leaving all of their investors to actually hold the bag once the coin actually crashes back down, and they're essentially left with nothing while the creators make a significant amount of money. But there's also examples of really cool altcoin and token projects, such as Dogecoin, for example, or Shiba Inu, which actually had massive runs and ultimately became valuable literally just due to the sheer psychology of memes and retail investors. But if you're asking yourself whether or not cryptocurrency is safe, there's something very important to understand, and that is, who exactly is investing into cryptocurrency? Because over the last year or so, more and more institutional investors are actually coming into cryptocurrency. And what I mean by that is extremely sophisticated investors like pension funds that manage billions and tens of billions of dollars for all sorts of different institutions, private equity, venture capital. They are actually investing into cryptocurrency, but they're doing it in a much safer way than many retail investors. Because when you think about a bank or a pension fund, for example, these types of institutions are very, very cautious and skeptical about their investments. They do an extreme amount of due diligence for good reason, because those are the types of investors that are investing other people's money, so they have to be extra careful when it comes to which investments they actually make. And when you look at banks and institutional large investors, for the most part, they are investing into the primary cryptocurrency coins. And what I mean by that is the 10 largest cryptocurrencies by market cap. And when I say market cap, what I mean is the actual cost of the coin multiplied by the total amount of coins in circulation to equal the market cap, similar to a company on the stock market where you multiply the share price times the number of outstanding shares. But to me, if some of the smartest and most skeptical investors in the entire world are investing into Bitcoin and into Ethereum, then it makes sense for me with my investing risk profile to do the same thing. But it's also important to understand that there are significant scams going on out there with cryptocurrency as well. Now, most of these scams are generally smaller coins or unknown coins and are hardly ever in the top 10 coins by market cap. One major example was a coin called OneCoin, which I heard about years ago, who actually managed through a Ponzi scheme to take over $4 billion from their investors, and then the creators actually disappearing. Now, obviously that's an extreme case, but it is something to be aware of, that if you do decide to invest into cryptocurrency, to be very, very cautious, especially if you are a new or beginning investor, which coins you actually invest into. And it most likely, for most people, makes sense to only really consider investing into the top 10 coins, and only doing so with money you can afford to lose, with a long-term mentality, believing in Ethereum, believing in Bitcoin over the next year, 5 years, or even 10 years. And a positive of doing that is you'll be able to sleep at night when there are wild volatility in the market, which we've seen many times as we watch Bitcoin going up or down as much as 10 or even 30% in a matter of days or weeks. And so for most people, especially new investors, the safest way to actually invest into cryptocurrency for the first time, if you choose, is to do what's called dollar cost averaging into only the primary coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, dollar cost averaging we can get into in another video, but essentially what it means is allocating the same amount of money, say $100 a week or $1,000 a week, into Bitcoin and Ethereum. The reason you do this is because you actually dollar cost average your way in. Instead of putting all of your money in at potentially the top or bottom, you actually put money in over time, which allows you to get an average of the overall gains or losses of something like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And then once you start to actually understand the nuance and more about altcoins and tokens and liquidity and market cap and all of the things that come along with being a cryptocurrency investor, then and only then would I recommend actually starting to look into some of the tokens and some of the coins which do have really disproportional, asymmetric, insane gains in certain cases, but only doing so with small amounts of money that you're comfortable completely losing if that were to happen in a worst case scenario. But if you're thinking to yourself, but Kevin, cryptocurrency, what is it actually worth? What value does it have? I know US dollars are backed by the gold treasury, but the truth is, what value does gold have? Gold only has value because we assign value to it, and we've done so for hundreds of years. And the cool thing about cryptocurrency is it has the same exact value when we assign value to it and when there's utility that we actually can use it for. Bitcoin is incredibly advantageous for developing countries who may not have as advanced of fiat currencies such as USD and many other online applications, which we're only even starting to scratch the surface of as of this year. But beyond just the utility of being able to use cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum or many others, there's also value because there's a finite amount of Bitcoin. Now, the cool thing about the creator of Bitcoin or group of creators, Satoshi Nakamoto, is they actually created a finite amount of Bitcoin. And what I mean by that is there's only 21 million total Bitcoins possible to be created in the world. And that means that as we continue to use Bitcoin and we continue to, find new uses of cryptocurrency, there's not going to be any more Bitcoin actually created. And when there's a finite amount of something, generally the value of each of those things goes up as long as there is value, use cases, and utility, as there are many of with Bitcoin. And so if you're thinking to yourself, okay, Kevin, I like this video so far, but what cryptocurrencies should I actually buy? How can I take advantage and invest into cryptocurrency to see some of those delicious, juicy gains? And while I know this is going to sound cliche, cliche and potentially annoying to some viewers, but whether or not you should invest into cryptocurrency comes down to your investing mentality, your risk profile, how much money that you can invest and afford to lose, and whether or not you can actually have a happy life and sleep at night. Because if you're making a bunch of money from Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, but you can't sleep and you're not having a happy life, then what's the point of making money at all? But if you do have some capital that you want to actually invest into cryptocurrency and you want to learn about which coins are the best, which coins are up and coming and could potentially be exciting, which coins have, you know, really strong founders and projects and visions behind them, then the best thing that I can recommend you do is click the first link you see down in the description right here. What this is a completely free Discord channel where some of the best investors in the world actually talk about cryptocurrency, investing, stocks, and all sorts of tips that you can use to learn more and actually increase your education. Because as you know, knowledge is power. So click the link down below to join the free #1 investing in crypto Discord channel. And also make sure you follow our Twitter account, the second link down below. So join our Discord, join our Twitter, and make sure that you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that next time we create a brand new video about cryptocurrency or investing, you'll be the first to know. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you tap the like button and comment down below cryptocurrency. And if we get 1,000 comments that say cryptocurrency on this video, then we'll release a series of cryptocurrency videos that you are going to absolutely love. And if you like this video and want more like it, stay tuned because we have a recommendation coming up in the next few seconds where you can check out one of our other awesome cryptocurrency videos. See you there.